I have worked on a couple of projects from frameworks to apps and games, and as it is the usual, I didn't finish any of them. So here we are, me, a creator, you, an audience, or in this case, my accountability partner. Okay, I don't want you to be only that though. I want you to enjoy the journey together with me, learn a thing or two, and even better, share your knowledge with me or the community. Let's get into it. What is this project about? Well, before I tell you about the project, I think it's important to address I'm not working on this alone. We are a team of 3 that do have full-time jobs, but during our spare time we love to make games. We additionally have a lot of more people helping us with testing and validating our ideas, and we also have some people that will be helping us later with art. The project we are working on is a turn-based strategy game for mobiles. It takes the concept of auto chess army formation, just like or any strategy game like gameplay, and lastly, collection and upgrading of your units. It's pretty simple concept, you can already find games like these. We hope that we can bring something new to the table and innovate on current games. Before we get into our progress, it's worth to note that my first priority is making a game and not making videos. What does this imply? When I'm showing you the game, my priority isn't to make it look all pretty and neat, it's supposed to be working. Now that we have this necessary introduction out of the way, let me show you our current progress. We start in the menu, which currently for a minimal lean version is just picking of the army. You can click on the cards of heroes and place them on the desired spot. You can also remove them and place different one. Now I'm gonna answer 2 questions that you might have. Firstly, current artwork is AI generated using Midjourney and acts as a placeholder. Secondly, what game engine are we using? We are using Unity game engine. We leverage Unity's inspector serialization fields, and you can set maximum amount of heroes allowed. Currently it's set to 3, and after you pick 3 units you can finally go into the battle. Before we jump into the battle, I would like to talk about what is the plan for the future for this menu screen. Our current idea is that our heroes are gonna be the gods from mythologies, meaning there would be factions. An example would be Slavic mythology, so gods from Slavic paganism such as Perun and Veles, Svetovit and so on would be under Slavic faction. Then you have the more commonly known Germanic paganism with gods such as Thor or Odin, and we can apply this to every other mythology. Additionally, every hero is gonna be special. We plan to have some general categorization or types, such as mage, warrior, healer, etc. But still, every hero should be unique and have unique interactions. If we apply this to AutoChess concept, we can reward good synergies. For example, if all of your picked heroes are from one faction, you will get a buff. Or you can mix this and have, for example, warrior buff if you have 2 warriors, or variety buff if every hero is different type. This means that we will need much better UX and UI, we will need filtering, showing of the buffs, searching for the factions and so on, and showing the possible buffs, information about the heroes and much more. There is a lot of work to be done here. Now let me show you the main part of the game. I would like to start with showing you the map. We can divide the map into 3 parts. 2 parts are on top and bottom. These are the parts of the map that are always the same, as this is where the heroes are placed. As you can see, it's the same pattern as it was in the menu. Then we have the last part, middle part. This is randomly generated. We generated half of it and then we mirror it, which allows us to give both players the same terrain to work with. Right now we have 3 types of fields. Is a grass field, mountain or stone field, and empty field. We can also set the percentage of how much of each field should be generated. Each of these fields have different interaction with our heroes, which I will explain a bit later. In the future, we also plan to add more types. There was one issue when implementing this random generation. Sometimes, the map wasn't playable. There was no path between the 2 sides of the map. Solution? I have implemented pathfinding algorithm that checks if there is path from one corner to other. If there isn't a path, we regenerate the map, and we loop that and always check till there is a valid path. Let's get closer look at the heroes. Heroes have health and armor bar. The difference being that armor is regenerated back after the end of the turn, compared to health, which can be healed, but isn't regenerated by itself. On top you can see icon. This icon currently indicates the interaction that the hero has. And there is level. These aren't as readable currently and we aren't sure about these. We plan to look into them later and see where this idea goes. Let's unzoom a bit from the hero and look at how it can move and interact. Right now we have 6 total units and all of them have unique move and interact patterns, something that characterizes them. For example, this spear wielder can move one field and can attack all around, but also attack one further in front. This tries to show how the spear wielder is always facing to the front, or at least that's the idea. Then we have horse rider that can move faster or more fields, but only attack to the sides, or mix both of these ideas, and you have horse rider with the spear and you can see how that connects. Then we also have, for example, archers and arbalists, and they have bigger reach, bigger damage, but are more easily killed. How does this interact with the terrain? Grass fields are straightforward, you can walk on them and attack normally. Empty field is different. You cannot walk on it, but you can still attack through it. For example, archer or arbalist can easily shoot an arrow through the lake or something. Then you have the mountain. You cannot walk on top of the mountain and you cannot attack through it. Or at least not all units can. The idea currently is that you have units that attack linearly. For example, arbalist uses crossbow and the arrow goes in a straight line. So it hits the first unit and you cannot hit the unit behind it. But then you have archer who doesn't shoot linearly, but it's kind of a point click, meaning the arrow drops so you can shoot across the mountain or units. You can notice that all of them are attack units. We plan to add different type of units as I mentioned before. We are already getting so excited about some ideas that we have, but I don't want to tell you too much. I think this should be topic for later episodes. You understand 2 key components of the battle, map and heroes. How does this work together though? We have created a state engine. State engine alternates between your turn and enemy turn. During your turn you can select your units, move them and interact with them. I don't want to go into too much details right now because it's quite complicated and it is constantly changing right now. I'll be honest with you, right now we are struggling to find a core gameplay loop that would be fun. Yes, we came up with several ideas, but they are still not quite it. We are spending our time to find the correct approach how to handle turn. Do you move first, then attack, or do you do both at the same time? We have a lot of playtesting to do. We are slowly reaching the end of this episode, but I still have stuff to show you. We have implemented a primitive enemy bot that finds the closest unit with the lowest armor and attacks it. For now it works. Later we would like to try creating smarter bots. And lastly, we have some UI that is currently mostly being used for debugging purposes. For example, you have this button to restart the map and the match, then you have quick return to the menu and so on. And a lot of it is not gonna be here later. Frankly, we are not quite sure if we should do multiplayer first. And as you can see, this is currently a multiplayer UI. We are thinking of doing single player campaigns first and then moving towards the multiplayer features later. I almost forgot. The last feature I implemented was this placeholder dialog that shows after the match is done. It's very placeholderish. We have finally reached the end. It has been a lot, I know. And in future episodes I hope we can slow down the pace a bit. If you have any feedback, ideas or anything, I would be more than happy to read it. Please leave a comment. And in case you are interested in the progress, consider subscribing. Thank you for watching and see you next time.